recording and muting my mic in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a special episode of Chocobo Dash. I'm one of your hosts, now Celestine. Hello? Elliot? And I think we lost Elliot.
Oh, sorry, I had my mic muted because of the cat was clawing at it, so...
Alright, let's take it from the top.
Yep, take it from the top. I'm sorry.
Alright, in 3, 2... Hello everybody and welcome to a special episode of Chocobo Dash. I'm your host, now Celestine.
And I'm your other host, Elliot Lefebvre.
Welcome to our 1-year anniversary of Realm Reborn launch episode. Yay!
Not being recorded quite on the anniversary, but Nell is recovering from a little bit of a bug, so we were a little bit late.
Yeah, but it's still the Rising going on, which is a big festival event where we actually get to interact with Yoshida-san's avatar, the Wandering Minstrel. And, well, for those of you who are not familiar with the ending of 1.0, it's something you need to experience when you go up to the Aft Castle and you hear that music. It's amazing music, and I'm so glad they brought it back.
I actually was really freaked out by it, because, if you were not at the ending of 1.0, I don't blame you, but it means that you missed out on the fact that at that point, the entire game was going nuts. Monsters were spawning all over the place, sometimes even in cities. Aetheryte was losing power. There was a moon hovering in the sky that looked about 10 feet away, all times, day or night. It was really creepy, and you heard that everywhere, and it was just bringing it back brings back unsettling memories.
Unsettling as they may be, it was still awesome memories.
No, it was really cool, and those of you who were not here, unfortunately, it's sad to say that you missed out on it, but I remember when we were all participating in the big last push against the Garleans at Cartno, and then immediately after the servers came down, that's when they showed the End of an Era trailer. So
it's a very, very touching song, and I'm hoping that they'll put it out on the third soundtrack. It was not on the first one. Answers was there, but not this version. I believe the community has nicknamed this one Dalamud Answers.
Yes, that's the usual, or Answer Dalamud or something. There's some variant on that.
Well, what we have in store for you today, we're not going to be doing too much community news, but we are going to be going over the official live letter, like the notes that were released, because once again, we usually don't get the full live letter translation until just before the next one comes out. Really, guys? Yeah, really. But we'll go over that, we'll go over the letter from the producer, and then we'll probably gush a little bit about our experiences over the last year.
Yep, sounds good to me. So let's start with what we did see from the most recent letter that we did get translated, the anniversary letter. Obviously, this confirmed that we're close to seeing the expansion, and we've got another patch coming up soon. So obviously, it's interesting to me. In fact, it's still a for the people we're experiencing back when 2.0 first launched.
I'm just rather impressed by the fact that Yoshida-san is openly admitting when their team made faults, and even said that where the delays came as a result and how everyone had to push harder. And it was just rather impressive for him to admit as a developer that they made mistakes and that they worked to fix them, and this was the results. And it just shows the fact that the development crew is human and not machines that just produce content.
Yeah, and they've also, this is the continuation of something that Yoshida's been doing even before 2.0's launch, and it's just kind of stepped up, is the idea that, there's a very open line of communication. And sometimes I've said that, the developers do not seem to be terribly good about listening to or acting upon feedback, but by and large, there is a very open dialogue, and Yoshida-san is very willing to provide us with information, tell us what's going on, and try and give an honest picture behind the scenes. That's something I've always liked as a reporter, and something I've always liked as a fan, that, we have a clear picture of what's going on, and we don't wind up sitting around saying, you know, I have no idea why the team made this change, and I hate it, and it seems to have no motivation. There are a couple of things where it's like, why did the team do this? But they are few and far between, especially when you compare it to years of playing Final Fantasy XI or even 1.0 of
where
Final
we got
Fantasy XIV.
nothing.
We got nothing.
You got a patch with a bunch of notes, and that was it.
But if you wanted to bring up, hey, there's a problem here, you had no illusions that anyone was ever going to hear it.
Yeah, pretty much. But he goes on to talk a little bit about the fact that he's looking forward to meeting more players at the various events, the fact that he's constantly being dragged around to them, the different fates, like the live fates, but he's really looking forward to all the individual fan fests and meeting more fans. So I'm hoping to meet him and get my box autographed, but I'm not sure which one to get autographed.
I have met him a few times, or once previously, and he is every bit as entertaining in person as he comes across in his letters and stuff. He's a very charming man, and I am very jealous of the people who are going to get to see him down in Vegas.
Well, next year you'll go.
That can only, assuming, of course, that there is a next year and it's not again on my anniversary.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Let's only hope. Of course, we also got another live letter as a part of the whole anniversary celebration during the 14-hour stream that the entire team was getting in on. So that had not a whole lot of information, but it had some interesting information, including one piece that I know Nell is just bursting at the seams to talk about.
Actually, there's two pieces I'm bursting at the seams to talk about, but I'm going to talk about this one first and then that one second.
That's fair.
Soken was challenged during that 14 hours. A challenge which he stood up and took and ran with it. What was the one thing that you and I both complained about when we first started doing the dungeons for 2.2?
The constant drops of crafting materials.
No, that's 2.3.
No, we complained about it for 2.2 too.
Okay. Pharaoh Sirius. And very specifically Pharaoh Sirius. What was the one thing I always complained about there?
I can't think of the one thing that you complained about most about Pharaoh Sirius. Pharaoh Sirius, we complained about lots of issues with it.
The music. It started off with a custom piece of music that was amazing, lasted for 30 seconds, and then went to regular dungeon music.
That's fair. I'm just remembering that, Pharaoh's was kind of the source of a lot of complaints, so.
Soken was challenged to write a full song for that, and he did. And it's going to be implemented at some point. We're going to be getting a full Pharaoh Sirius song.
Which is great, especially since, Hullbreaker and Tamtara and a lot of the dungeons thus far have showed how much just the different backing tracks can influence how the whole dungeon feels. So
it's
I'm looking
so
forward.
Amazing. You didn't hear it yet?
No, I didn't hear it yet. I've only seen some of the full stream.
Okay, I will link you later the full download.
Okay. But no, I have no. I realize, very shameful, but I've had other things that I've had to take care of, so I haven't been able to watch the full. I haven't had a full 14 hours to watch.
The other thing that I'm really totally stoked for, and I know many of my friends are as well, is they did mention that for the Golden Saucer, we're going to be getting a card game. For sure.
Yep.
But not just any card game. No, we're not getting Tetramaster. Lord knows Tetramaster did terrible. It was broken in 9. The play online version didn't last.
Mostly because no one was going to be playing it. Pay an extra subscription fee to play a card game.
We're going to be getting Triple Triad. Final Fantasy VIII Triple Triad.
One of the few. I don't know if I want to say it's one of the few good things to come out of Final Fantasy VIII, since it was just as hideously broken as the rest of the game, but it's at least a better card game.
Final Fantasy VIII has its pluses and minuses, and that's not a debate I'm going to get into.
No, this is not the format for it. I do a project about that anyway. I'll complain about it plenty when I get there. But I'm very happy, actually, to see that we're getting Triple Triad. And I'm hoping, and they haven't said anything about this yet, but I'm hoping that we will, as players, be able to cultivate our decks and play against other players out in the world. Because that would be a very true-to-life implementation of it, rather than just keep confining it to the Gold Saucer. Go out and about, and, you know, while you're waiting for a dungeon pull or someone says I need to go AFK, just play a quick round of Triple Triad.
I would like 2 modes implemented for that. One for casual play, and one for betting a card.
Yeah.
That way you can have both aspects of it. So if you want to just play someone casually for fun, go for it. And if you actually want to play for cards, you can do so. This way it allows for both people to, like both types of players, to get what they want out of it.
Yeah, and I think that would be a better overall method of gating cards and how players will react to this. So I'm hoping that, but even if it's just in the Golden Saucer, I am excited about Triple Triad, although not as excited as I am about the footage that was shown of Ninja during the 14-hour stream. That I most certainly did watch.
Yeah, the Madras look pretty awesome, like with all the different chaining abilities. It's going to be interesting to see how the combos work.
Yeah, it looked like, from a glance, it looked like there were, you know, a few main combos for elemental attacks. I do wonder how they're going to be unlocked, but it looked like they were off the GCD and they only had about a half second to 1 second cooldown. So something where you can chain them together quickly for moments of opportunity rather than forcing you to use them instead of weapon skills.
Well, you would have to assume that they would have to have a really low global cooldown, because if you have to do them in rapid succession in order to pull off a skill,
yeah,
having a 2.5 second cooldown between each of them would not be viable at all.
No, but it looks interesting. There's definitely a lot of mobility, it seems, involved in the class, although they've said that it's going to be less about positioning and moving about than, say, Monk, which, if you've played Monk, you know it's really back and forth, swinging around here and there. But what other things stood out to you from the live fair? No.
They definitely were talking a little bit about the hunts and how to address some of the issues with them. And they're still looking into ways to improve hunts, but they also have to take into account balance and making sure that stuff like dungeons don't get underpopulated or overswarmed, or if people complain that, like, if they put hunt monsters in the dungeons, that if they don't pop right or something. So it's stuff to worry about there that they're going to be concerned about. They're also looking at stuff for doing less fates required for things.
That actually stuck out to me, because the translation that we got said, you know, we'll keep this in mind moving forward, you know, if we have to implement. It struck me as kind of a, you know, well, you know, we'll try to minimize this if we can, but, you know, guys, of course you can. You are the developers. You can literally make things as dependent on fates or not as you want. You can make these things spawn, you know, once every 5 minutes and spawn for 5 straight hours if you want to. It's totally up to you. You have complete control.
We've also been told that Ninja is the only class we're going to be getting before the expansion.
Yep.
And that there will be new information released, more than likely the jobs and the expansion themselves, at the various fan festivals.
Which I don't think anyone is surprised by. I think we also found out that 2.38 should be coming out around the time of the Tokyo Game Show, so that's around the middle of September. So I would not be surprised if we are seeing 2.4 in early to mid-October, which will be the release of Ninja and presumably Shiva and some other content. I don't recall if they actually said that the Golden Saucer would be in 2.4 or not.
They didn't say if it would be in 2.4 or not, but it'll be in before 2.5.
So maybe another interquel patch. Also, they did not discuss personal housing at all, which is supposed to be in 2.38.
They did actually. Question 39 was asked. I have enough gil to purchase land, but there aren't enough open spaces. When are you planning to add more land? Also, is there any information you can reveal about personal housing? And the answer was, I apologize for the wait. We are continuing to look in the matter. As for future plans, we will be adding more land and implementing personal housing in patch 2.38. Please note that we will continue to look into how much land we will be able to add in the future as of after patch 2.38.
So, well, that's what it didn't say a whole lot about when or exactly what we're going to be looking at or costs or anything. I don't know if we're going to be expected to use the same plots as are used for free company housing for personal housing, although that seems like it might be a little prohibitive, seeing as how there is very little space left. There, on our server, I think there's maybe a few plots left in the newest ward.
If anything, if there's plots left anywhere on our server, then they would definitely be in the goblet, because Mist was sold out within 3 days, and I believe Lavender Beds took about a week.
Yep. So I think, and don't quote me on this, I could be totally wrong. I suspect that what we're going to wind up with is that there will be a adjoining district to each ward for personal houses, but we don't know yet. We haven't found out yet, but we should probably be hearing about that fairly soon, as 2.38 does not seem to be that far on the horizon.
We'll probably hear about it at the Tokyo Game Show if the game show's out before the patch.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We don't know when it's due out yet, so we know when the game show is, but we don't know when 2.38 is yet.
One last thing that did pop up, to me at least, in the question answer section was a player asked if we would be able to be doing player surveys again like they did at the end of 1.0. And they said, at the time there was no form to receive player feedback, so we gathered feedback through surveys, but now we are collecting them all the time through the forum, community sites, and for the letter of Producer Live. Because of this, I think it's important to continue the letter from the Producer Live first and foremost. I can understand where they're coming from, but I still think the surveys would be good too, because not everyone's vocal on the forums.
I think there's also the difference that a survey is a neutral field. There are a lot of people who will stay off of the forums because of negativity or because of cliquishness. There are a lot of discussions that tend to wind up being circular on the forums in a way that a survey doesn't allow for it. With a survey, you just say, this is what I think, and then that's it, as opposed to on a forum where you have a whole lot of discussion. It's a lot more ambiguous. I don't think that we should see regular surveys, but I think every so often putting out a survey might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, like maybe once every 6 months or something like that, maybe.
Or even
once a year.
If we just do it, for instance, like as we're reaching the end of an expansion cycle, like, okay, this is nearly the end of the 2.0 series and we're about to release the expansion. Let's just take a survey, see what we did right, see what we did wrong.
I wouldn't say that, because by that point, then the expansion would already be well in development. I would say then it would have to be halfway through, so that way they could go, okay, well, for the expansion, we're going to have to retool things slightly differently. But
the basic philosophy, not on a regular basis. No one, I think, would expect them to put out a survey every month, but seeing it on an irregular basis and every, over a longer period of time might be a good thing for providing and accessing more player feedback in the long run.
True enough. And was there anything else on the letter that perked your interest?
No, I think we covered most of the stuff that really caught my eye, really caught my attention. So I think at this point, since this is our anniversary show, we should really talk a little bit more about the anniversary, because we have now been playing the relaunch since last year.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm still kind of shocked to a certain degree. I did not expect the game. I honestly was very, very worried about the relaunch, but it's done very well for itself. It's been very well received, and with the exception of certain missteps, honestly, the game has been running very nicely, and it's been an absolute blast to play over the past year.
I have to say the same. There was a lot of hiccups at the start with the login issues, but it was dealt with quickly. but I would have to say I'm a little leery about some of the not people, but some of the directions that people are wanting to take the game. Because I find that the open world content, while creative, the whole Zerg mentality for it kind of defeats the purpose of it.
I have to agree with you. And that's one of the big issues that I think the game needs to address going forward, is the fact that, Fates, and there's a reason why people tend to react so violently negatively when Fates are brought up, is because there's so much stuff tied specifically to Fates that you have no control over, which honestly reminds me in some ways of the worst parts of playing Final Fantasy XI, in that, if you were playing Final Fantasy XI and your main class was a Dragoon and you didn't have a static party, then your life consisted of logging in, sitting down, and hoping that a group needed a Dragoon. Otherwise, you weren't getting to play. Similarly, when you're waiting for a Fate to spawn, or, you're farming Fates and hoping for a random drop, you're really not playing. You're logging in and hoping that you get to play for the evening. And I think while the dungeon content has been solid, I think one of the two things that the game needs to really keep an eye on is its attempts to add open world content in a meaningful way without encouraging people to just get into huge groups and spam it down as soon as.
Now, a little bit more creative with it, in a way that is non-intrusive to people who don't want to participate, but at the same time don't make it absolutely the most viable method to do something. Make it an alternative, but don't make it a necessity, I guess is the word I'm looking for, would be probably the best way to handle something like this.
And the other thing, I think, the other sort of the Charybdis to the open world Zerg Scylla would be that the game also occasionally has a tendency to slip a little too far into the hardcore mentality and the, Binding Coil is the best thing we've produced and you need to get into that. You need to do the extreme primals. The game needs to strike a balance. And I think
it flops way too much.
Yeah, it has a really hard time striking that balance between there is a reward for doing this hardest content and you absolutely need to. I'm not upset about the fact that it's struggling to find that balance, because that's what you would expect at this point in its lifespan. It's been running for about a year and it's tried a lot of things, and in a lot of ways this game allows you to progress in the content that you want in ways that many games don't allow you to. I personally like doing small group dungeons and solo stuff, and there is a lot of options there, but it still falls down in certain areas, and I'm hoping that when we see the expansion that we're going to see some of that stuff addressed. So that's where it's between. Those are the two big threats. But I would say, by and large, that the game has done a really good job of navigating the waters to at least try and strike a balance between being too hardcore or being too much get into huge groups and spam everything down.
Yeah, we need something a little bit more in the middle core group. Something that's not quite as difficult as Coil, but not as easy as, say, dungeons.
I don't even know if I would say that we need something in the middle there, but we need to make sure that remains a viable progression path. That needs to... There needs to be a space there for people who want something, and there needs to be a space for the people because I honestly think we have more people out there who are invested in the game for reasons other than just doing Coil at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of topics and stuff on the forums for this kind of discussion that are able to word it far, far better than I can.
But at the same time, Eorzea has been our home for a year now, and it's been a really fun ride. It's been a lot of fun, and we've been obviously enjoying both playing and talking about it with you fine folks. So, I don't know. There are things about the game that bother me. There are things I'm not as pleased with, but I would rather be slightly displeased with this game than
horribly displeased.
heartily displeased with any other.
All right, then, with that in mind, let's give it a salute.
That sounds like a good idea to me. On 3,
3, 2, 1, and spoosh! Congratulations on 1 year!
Slow down that footage and put it to some rap music.
No.
Ah, darn it.
All right. And I'm just going to do this for good measure.
I think that went off the camera.
More than likely. Oh, well. Alrighty. Thank you very much for joining us for this 1 year anniversary episode. As always, you can leave any positive or negative comments in the box below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm Nell Celestine.
And I'm Elliot_Lefebvre.
You can give us any feedback there or on the official Lodestone topic or in the YouTube comments, and we'll get back in touch with you as fast as we can. If you have any suggestions on how to improve the show, we are always welcome to constructive criticism. I see you doing the hooray.
I just wanted to give it a little more cheer, and this one's not drifting off the camera.
Well, fine then. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and we hope you have a marvelous day.
Enjoy yourselves.
Oh, and make sure you get your minions.
Yep, they're cute.
Bye-bye.
And stopping recording.